Indonesia's forest story is one of constant change. In 1995, the world grew alarmed when many of our Meranti species were placed on the IUCN Red List, exposing the toll of unchecked logging. 2 years later, the Kyoto Protocol placed forests at the center of climate action.
Will recommend the adoption of this protocol to the conference by unanimity.
And by 1998, ideas of social forestry were taking root through IFSS, reminding us that communities must be part of the solution. This momentum shaped Indonesia's forestry law of 1999, which redefined forests as more than state assets, introducing the idea of multi-business forestry, where timber, non-timber products, and local livelihoods could thrive together. In 2004, ecosystem restoration concessions broke new ground, granting licenses not for extraction, but for bringing degraded forests back to life. The following decade tied forests firmly to global climate policy. After the 2007 Bali Climate Conference, Indonesia pledged to cut emissions, and Red Dewas brought in billions in donor commitments, including a landmark agreement with Norway. Yet, challenges were real. The fires of 2015 devastated ecosystems and economies, while also exposing the need for stronger community-based solutions. In response, social forestry expanded to 12.7 million hectares, granting real management rights to villages, farmer groups, and indigenous communities. With the launch of the Indonesia Carbon Exchange in 2023, forests entered the global carbon market, transforming conservation into a driver of climate finance. By 2025, Indonesia stands at a crossroads. Multi-business forestry, social forestry, and technology-driven conservation are working together to turn forests into solutions for jobs, food, energy, and climate. The path to 2030 is ambitious, rehabilitating millions of hectares of degraded land and cutting emissions nearly in half. But it is also hopeful, a story of forests no longer on the margin, but at the heart of how the world builds a sustainable future.
As the hybrid discussion boomed during the COVID-19, the Indonesian member of the International Forestry Students Associations recognized a pattern of the curriculum gap, whereas Indonesian forest frames centered on terms such as productions, exploitations, and trading. Furthermore, in Indonesia, the idea of the forest centers on a notion of sustainability, biodiversity, and recognitions has been developed rapidly in the last 19. The IFSS 2025 Indonesia designed an intergenerational learning model for more than 100 participants from 23 countries. The idea is too simple: how we see the forest no more than just a trees, how we see them as the solution of the landscape, and how we see them as an answer to the global issues like the carbon tradings, the science behind national decisions, and the real impacts on the ground. Joint forestry curricula are still fragmented. Economy in one corner, energy in another, indigenous community barely included. This gap is obvious in IFSA forums, and IFSS in here become the space of start to filling it.
Began in Bogor. In classrooms, labs, and Walat educational forest sites, we explored tropical forestry and saw how technology is shaping conservation today. Yeah, Indonesia still faces 12.7 million hectares of degraded land. The multi-business forestry policy is one way to turn this challenge into opportunity, creating jobs, diversifying forest products, and restoring ecosystems. Technology like drones helps us map, monitor, and protect these forests. The National Symposium brought together more than 300 people ranging from the government, private sector, academics, civil society, and the youth. It was where the youth statement was born. Social forestry is meant to reduce emissions and support communities, but challenges remain. Fragmented policies, limited youth involvement, and land rights that are still unclear. These issues often hold back communities from leading forest management. Indonesia has raised its climate target in the enhanced NDC 31, 89% unconditionally and 43.20% conditionally. Efforts like ecological mangrove restoration in Wallacea are proof that local action matters for global goals. Every time this song plays, it takes me back to 2 weeks that's more than an event. How did it all start?
Vamos a la playa, oh, oh, oh. Vamos a la playa, oh, oh, oh. Vamos a la playa, oh, oh, oh. Vamos a la playa, oh, oh. Vamos a la playa. La bomba estalló. Las radiaciones tostan y matizan de azul.